Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here. We're live. We have our mask. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to meeting 213 of TMG Connect Group. And I'm so pleased to see a room full of crazy ones. People who use their technology to change the world. Speak up, Bill. Yeah. And I'll start speaking up a little bit more if I get the tears back. It's very strange. You know, there's this guy, Steve Jobs. I've only met him 5-6 times in my life, and I feel like I lost a member of my family. So anyway, grieving process. You know, we have to put that stuff away for a while. We've got stuff we got to get done today. Some things have happened the last couple of weeks. Yes, Mr. Decker.
Bill was in the newspaper. People have been over jobs.
I've heard I've been in the newspaper, and I've also been told I was on Channel 2. Yes. And I've had several people say, "You were so thoughtful," which makes me wonder, what am I like the rest of the day? No, I don't think they have it on the website. And if there was, I wouldn't bring it up. Okay, remember, one of the basic rules of the TMG, it's not about me, it's about us. Okay?
But us wants to see you.
Well, you go ahead. I don't think it's out there. In any case, so we had an announcement of a new iPhone, the iPhone 4S, and the response from many of the people that were out there was disappointment because it wasn't an iPhone 5. Okay, well, you know, I used to work for the media, and so I sort of take what they tell me with a little bit of, well, a bucket of salt. And so I started to look at the sales numbers. Okay, so they've got a new vendor for iPhones. So now you can have an iPhone with AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint. How much did Sprint pay Apple for that? $2.5 billion. Then I looked at what they've been doing. They've sold more of the 4S phones in this first week than they sold with the original iPhone in the first week. So it's like, okay, it's like the Wall Street guys, where they say, you know, disappointing returns. You know, they didn't meet what we expected, even if the company met the forecast or exceeded the forecast that they set. So with a lot of this, just sort of, you know, ignore it. The other thing, of course, I want you to be prepared. We're going to start hearing the stories about Apple is dead, Apple is dying, as if the technology that we're using suddenly has no value. Excuse me, you know, I've got an iPad 2, I've got several Mac computers. That technology still works for me. That technology is still adding value to my life. I've got these things where they take care of me instead of me taking care of them. That's one thing that, yes, sir.
I saw a rumor that supposedly Steve left 4 years worth
It's
of
not a rumor.
ideas
It's not
in
a
the
rumor.
pipeline. So
That's in the Wall Street Journal.
yeah.
And the funeral was yesterday, just in case you didn't know. The funeral was yesterday, a very private funeral for Steve Jobs. All 4 of his kids were at the funeral. The girl that was born out of wedlock and the 3 kids that he has with his wife, Lorraine Powell. His adopted parents were there. His girlfriend from high school, who's the mother of his first child, was not there. And his birth parents were not there. Okay. And they weren't invited. That's how he wanted it. And Wozniak. So it was about 8 to 10 people. That's all they had. He apparently knew he was on the way out from about 2000 and when he took the medical leave on. So he's been working frantically on creating a series of things. So he's got, 4 years of products. He's got a map that he left them. He also implemented this thing last year called Apple University. I'm going like, Apple University? It's only for Apple executives. They're going to turn them into Steve Jobs. This is scary. So, what I would basically say is have confidence in the marketplace, have confidence in the ability of Americans and others to innovate, and be a good consumer. If something is adding value to your life, okay, you purchase it. If it doesn't, if it's another one of these doorstops where you've got to constantly update it, you're spending more time taking care of the electronic device than it's taking care of you, then don't use it. And I think we'll come out just fine. Anybody else have anything they want to share at this point about Steve Jobs? Yeah.
This isn't about Steve Jobs, but I just heard on one of the podcasts I was listening to on the way in, it said it's not so much the products that he created, but it's also the company itself of Apple, the environment, things like that. So, like you said, you probably be hearing rumors and things, but the only thing that I can think of is, if I suddenly heard Tim Cook leaving or a Phil Schiller leaving, that might trigger something, but of course that's not going to happen. Or Jonathan Ives or Scott or anybody like that, hearing them leave might trigger something, but other than that, it's just, the environment that he built. It's not just the product; it's the company and the environment
when I was
built.
being interviewed, they're asking me, well, are they going to be able to survive without him? I went, yeah. When he took the first medical leave and Tim Cook was in charge, what was in the pipeline and was getting tweaked? The iPad. So Tim Cook has already overseen 2 of those major releases on his own and run the company. Plus, the guy's got a history with Compaq, with HP. I mean, he's a good guy, really good executive, can make a decision and can get things done. Yes?
Did I read right that Steve Jobs handpicked Tim Cook?
Yes. And he didn't want to lose him, which is why he resigned his position of chief executive officer. He wanted to keep Tim Cook. They had a conversation, and Eric Schmidt was in the conversation apparently, because Eric Schmidt's people were trying to get Tim. And Steve Jobs told them what they were going to do. Yes, Ron?
One of the stories I heard about Steve Jobs that I always like is that he had this aura around him called the reality distortion field. And it was the kind of thing where he would go in with a bunch of the technicians and he'd say, we need to do this, and they'd all be shaking, yeah, we need to go that. And then he'd leave and they'd look around and say, how are we going to do that? And he presented the vision of what was needed and charged the folks to go out and find a way of doing it. And I think that may be the thing that eventually is going to be lost there. I don't know who carries that leadership, that vision on for Apple?
There's two people that come to mind. One is the fellow that's in charge of all of the mobile devices, because the iPad was basically his baby. And the other one is the fellow that's in charge of the operating system, the OS X. So it'd be interesting to see where we go from here, what kind of devices come out, etc. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to try and get our meeting back on track, unless, yes, Kathy?
Well, I always thought when he started coming up with the, the small things about with that, you could watch movies or television, or I thought about when Dick Tracy came out and he had his little watch. That's the first thing that I thought, he actually made it work. I mean, that's what those two.
And that latest release of the iPod, you can get it with a watch band, and it's got clock faces on it.
I know it's silly, but just one of the things.
One of the things that I didn't see in the press at all was how much of a family man he was. When he got engaged, Melissa Gates told her husband to go talk to him so that he would know how to keep his wife and his children out of the press. And, I wasn't privy to the conversation, but apparently Bill Gates explained that there were certain things you could do to the media so they would leave your wife and kids alone. And think about it. There were people who didn't even know he had a wife, let alone, that he had the kids. So one of the things that I thought was interesting is when he'd be doing those demonstrations of, this is the stuff you can do with your photos that you took on vacation. What he was channeling was when he's on vacation with his kids, and then he brings the photos back and he wants to do something with it, but there's no technology to do that. And so a lot of this stuff, the innovation, the idea of, hey, I want to do this, how do I do this? Oh, there's no way to do it, was coming out of his own personal life. Another thing, again, he was not an engineer. He made no pretensions about being an engineer. I think that's a good thing, because if you think about Thomas Alva Edison and what happened to the Edison Enterprises after he died, there was a dramatic diminishment of that. Where here, they've got some really, really smart engineers, and they've been feeding that pipeline for a good 20 years now. A lot of people don't know, but Apple actually will hire people when they're 14. So there's a fellow by the name of John Bombich, the fellow who originally wrote Carbon Copy Cloner and a whole bunch of other programs. Well, when he first did that, he was 12, 13 years old. Apple approached him. They didn't know he was a kid. They just saw this really neat cloning program. So they approached him to see if he was interested in maybe working for Apple. They find out he's a teenager. They go, oh, okay, well, we could bring you in as an intern, but they also help pay for his college, and now he is working. So they do have these pipeline things that they've done for development of talent. Reminds me a lot of what Patterson did at NCR, or Tom Watson did at IBM in the beginning. Okay, so with that said, let's talk about what our agenda is today. We are going to do our welcome first. Our welcome is where or the embarrassment is where we say hello to our guests, and we have 3 guests today. I'm going to call their name and ask them to stand up and just say hi to everybody, and then I'm going to ask them to just tell us what kind of Mac they have, what kind of stuff they do with it, and what do they want to do with it. And if they don't want to say a whole lot, that's okay too. Mike, where you at, Mike? Stand up. Second time. Say hello.
Hi, Mike. I'm Herrick. I was here last month, so I've got an iMac, iPhone, and a MacBook Pro. Just normal use, nothing fancy.
Do you realize that our nothing fancy would have been like magic 20 years ago, 30 years ago? And Kathy and Vic B. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
We'll talk to you first. What kind of stuff have you got?
I'm Kathy Bean. I have an iTouch, and we've got a new Mac computer. I can turn it on.
Thank you, Captain. That's it.
I'm Dick. I have an iPad, and we bought the computer, and here we are.
At the break, say hello to them. And I'm so glad for you to hear you. Okay. So that's the embarrassment. Next thing would be, okay, new. You already know that Steve Jobs has passed away. You've heard about the iPhone 4S being released. They also announced a few other things. They talked about iOS 5, that's the operating system for the mobile devices. That would be iPod Touch and iPhone and iPad. That's being released next Tuesday, October 12th. And they're also letting loose this other new free product called iCloud. And that's going to be where you can synchronize your data without having to plug in wires. Our meeting plan right now is next month we're going to do a presentation, main presentation on a product called Parallels 7 that lets you run other operating systems on your Mac. The following month we'll be doing something with iOS 5 or iCloud. We need to sort of let us, figure it out first before any of us can present. So next Tuesday, big day, there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on, being released, and I'm going to be a really busy guy trying to figure out all this stuff so I can explain it to other folks. Let's see, other stuff going on. The usual stuff, Samsung suing Apple, Apple suing Samsung, Samsung suing Google, Google suing Microsoft, Okay, they're playing patent wars here.
The lawyers are doing well.
The lawyers always seem to do well, and that's okay, That's their role.
Even lawyers make it.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
On the 4S, I think I read, is that the same processor that's in the iPad 2?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And there was something I didn't realize about the iPad 2. I was doing some research on the old Cray supercomputers. Okay, Cray, where it was like lobby seats with this pillar in the middle. It's like 2001, The Space Odyssey. And I saw a benchmark, and then they had it compared, and it's got the same processing power as the iPad 2. And I went, okay. So now, hey, I'm an old fart, so I remember this stuff. And I'm going like, oh, God, I'm carrying around a Cray supercomputer now. Yes?
Question, does the iWork, which is in iPad 2, is it as strong as the original iWork was for the MacBook and MacBook Pro?
The main
skinny down
limitations
version
are going to be if you're working on a smaller screen, you're not going to have that menu bar stuff. So
formula bars and stuff.
Yeah, you can do a whole bunch of really good things with it. You can create documents with it. From my own particular viewpoint, I would rather have a large screen, full keyboard if I'm doing that kind of page layout stuff.
I'm just curious about the computational ability at stream. Can it do all the fancy formulas and stuff?
Oh, you're talking about numbers, which is in iWork.
Numbers, which is in iWork.
Yeah, and you can also get numbers. Yeah.
As good as the iWork numbers in the old MacBook and MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Interface.
Now, okay, with that said, personal preference, I still prefer Excel to numbers. Okay. That's me, the statistician talking. There's stuff you can do in Excel that you can't do in numbers. I don't see anything really in numbers except for the page layout stuff, which is that's the only thing you can't do in Excel that you can do in numbers. Okay, anybody else for news? Yes.
Just received an email when I came in that official biography by Walter Isaacson. It was supposed to be released next March, got pulled back for Thanksgiving, and is now being released the last week of October.
Okay. So that's not the unauthorized biography of Steve Jobs, it's the authorized biography.
And it's on sale at Amazon for like half off right now.
Yeah, you can pre-order it.
Yeah.
Pre-ordered for half off.
Yeah, now
Is that in print version?
It's
or
hard copy.
Huh?
Hardback,
Okay.
book.
Okay. Very good. Okay, anyway, let me talk about, okay, one more, yes, Ron?
I'm waving at the photographer.
Oh.
There you go.
Our membership vice president, membership manager, Mr. Kurtner, has a new camera.
Everybody wave.
I asked him if this is part of the FBI visual recognition project. Okay, anyway, our main presentation today is going to be on a product, a cloud-based product, which means internet-based product called Dropbox. Bill Howe, at the very last minute, I do apologize for the last, has agreed to host our novice group. So we've got, somebody who's knowledgeable for the novice group. So even though we sort of feel like we're spinning out of control today, it's all working. Let's move right on to help desk. Do help desk? Yeah. Anybody run into problems this month? Okay, I'm looking for Ron. No, Ron's looking at the floor. Okay, Ray.
Every so often lately, I'm having issues with sending an email. It won't accept what's been accepted all along. And wait just a little while, and suddenly the email is okay, and I can send it. Is that because of the new conversion from MobileMe to iCloud? And
what's the account that you're sending from? Are you sending from a MobileMe account?
Yes.
Email account.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say if the email doesn't go, are you saying you get a bounce back? It says that
no, I just get a message that try later.
Yeah, that's because the dweebs are doing stuff.
Okay. One other.
We also had a MobileMe outage. There's been 3 of them that lasted. The first one was a half an hour, nobody could get to it. The next one was a full hour, and then the last one was actually 2 hours.
I kind of figured that. Another thing, and see if anybody else has picked up on this, I think Verizon is telling a lie about the iPad.
Okay.
And they don't say a word. They do it visually. They're promoting the iPad and all the wonderful things about it, and you see the picture scanning the pool or wherever it's
you're
at.
talking about the TV ad with the very nice thin supermodel, and she's got this futuristic headset.
No. She's got an iPad in her hand, and she's reading a book right out in the bright sunlight. And the pictures they show of it looks just as clear as any other time. And I think
you're going to have the same problem you have with a laptop that's in bright sunlight.
Well, what I'm saying is they're visually telling you something that's not true. That you can see it with the sun behind you going right into that screen. I've told other people that they can't believe it.
Write in your diary, if you're journalists, if you end up with an iPad or an iPad 2, that when you are out in direct sunlight, you may have to angle it a little bit, and or be under a...
Get in the shade.
Yeah, be in the shade. Anyway.
Right.
Yes.
I'm trying to help a friend who has a new PC and doesn't know anything about it, but his daughter set him up with email and addresses in Firefox. So I set up a group for him and attempted to move the address into the group, and I could not figure out how. Would somebody help me?
What is the email provider? In other words, who is
Firefox?
Firefox is a web browser.
Firefox.
But what's his email? Is he on an AOL account? Is he on a Yahoo account? Is he on a Gmail account?
Gmail.
Okay, because each one of them is going to have it different. In Gmail, okay, you want to be in Gmail, and then you're going to click on Contacts, okay? Then your contacts come up, and that's where you can create your groups. Once the group comes up, you click on the Add button.
Never found it. I'll go back and look again. This is not for everybody. Somebody is a great student.
Well, okay, but the thing is, still, about 80% of the American public does their email via what's called webmail. They're using a web browser to talk to a website that then talks to an email server. So I think it is relevant. Okay. And another word for group, when you're talking about contacting that, would be distribution list. Okay. One of the things that, periodically I have this little light bulb go off when I realize that people don't know stuff that I thought they knew. You can create groups in your address book or in your contact list, and they can be used as distribution lists. That means if you're sending, you got a really nice joke and you want to send it to the family members. Instead of putting in the 15 or 20 emails, dragging them in, typing them in, you could just create a group and call it family, pull those people, add those people to the group, and then when you type the word family, it adds all their email addresses. Yeah.
On that, does it do BCC, where whoever you send it to, not everybody can see everybody's email address?
If you're going to do blind courtesy copy, what you normally want to do is you're going to send the message to yourself, and you put them down in the BCC, and it'll recognize groups in BCC and in courtesy copy.
Send it to yourself.
And I'm so proud that
Put them in the blind
copy.
I wonder how they did that.
Bill?
I just got my Buckeye card this week.
One of my acquaintances had that thing as undisclosed recipient. They must have created a mailbox with that, and that's where they send it.
That is a label you can.
Yeah.
It will show up.
Because I've had people call me and say, I got a message from you that you sent to yourself. Well, yes, that's true. Well, and then the questions follow.
And the reason why you would do a blind courtesy copy, here's an example. We started to do this at TMG. When you have that long list of people that are getting the email, when they receive the email, all they see is that it was sent to them. So they don't have this 18 lines of all the other people that were on. So that means if they want to forward it, you don't end up with these long messages where you got to scroll down for 5 minutes to get to the actual message. It also means if you're doing this for a business purpose, you're not revealing the emails of your customers to anyone else. So it's a good thing to know how to do.
Even a large unrelated group, there's privacy and antivirus actually issues there. It's, people don't want their email spread around to machines that are a little more exposed to malware.
Excellent point. Let's say you've received an email and these people were not blind courtesy copies, they were just, sent to. Many email programs will remember those email addresses even though they're not in the contact list or the address book. So let's pretend that it's a Windows machine and it gets the CLES virus. The CLES virus will have it send an email, usually something to do with enhancement or Rolex watches or other prescriptions, to everyone that's in the email list, that's in this computer knows, an email for it, from everybody that's in. So it's like combinations and permutations, including the ones that the email program has received. So then you get emails from people saying, your machine must be infected with a virus because somebody else's machine had your email address in it, and it's sending a spoof email that looks like William Mears sent the email to that person, where actually Bill's got clean machines and everything over at these machines is probably clean too. Okay? So again, just good stuff to know. Anybody else having problems this month?
Just one issue, some of the new Mac applications, it's a version. I haven't gotten used to that yet, and if you want to save as, it's not available in some applications, so then you have to play around to get.
You would go to save a version. Save a version instead of save as.
Yeah, even it doesn't. I haven't even found that on some of them, but I have a duplicate files and things like that in order to get around it.
So, this brings up an important point I need to ask the membership. How many of you are using Lion? Mac OS 10.7. So I'm seeing about a quarter of a Okay. Let's see, we were going to do Parallels and then do Cloud, and then I think we need to do Lion stuff again. Yeah. Okay. So I'll add that. Yes?
I'm not sure if it's unique to my email provider, Earthlink, or what, but when I go to hotels and various places, I can download all my emails and I get them all in there. But if I try to answer, I get some kind of dialog box that says something like, you can't do it. But if I go to webmail, I can do it webmail. Is that just because I can't do it, or is there a way to get around and just go ahead and use Entourage like I do normally at home?
It has to do with email servers and whether they're visible to the internet or not. When you're sending and receiving emails, so I'm on my computer and I send an email. It goes up to my email provider, and they have an incoming server and an outgoing server. Remember, this whole setup was not created by normal people who want to keep it simple. It was created by IT geeks who go, hey, we got an excuse to buy another computer, all right? And sometimes that incoming and outgoing server will actually be many, many computers that are sort of, hooked together. Think of a team of oxen. So what you're describing is a typical problem that you're going to have if you have Roadrunner or if you have Earthlink, where you can get your mail, but when you go to send it, it cannot see the other outgoing email server because it's hidden from the internet. When you do it using webmail, you're using your web browser and you're doing HTTP, World Wide Web stuff, okay. You're talking to their web browser, their web server. Their web server is in the same network with their ingoing and outgoing email servers. So you talk to the web server then talks to them, and stuff moves in and out. So it's the way I get around that, if I want to use the Apple Mail program, is I will have another email set up in my email client, like a Gmail account, and there's a setting where you can say, if an outgoing email server is not available, send it using some other email server.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point to make that change?
You should get, when it comes back and says it can't send it out, it should give you a option to change. There should be a drop-down box. You can change a different SMTP server.
I just get one little dialog box which says, it's like the server at Earthlink does not recognize the hotel's wireless router. Like at home, Earthlink recognized my wireless router.
It's because hotels use a different service provider, and they're not letting you go to their SMTP server.
Then where you get in the port, they have to have that port open.
Yeah. So, but you could change to a different SMTP server, like he's saying.
I just don't know how to do it. Well, we'll
Buy
talk
me
later.
lunch one day and I'll show you.
All righty. Okay, I'll buy lunch. We're up.
I'm getting trim and I can start eating out again.
You just eat the fancy foods now.
You were the guy that got me, you and my daughter were the ones that got me started on the treadmill every day.
You're looking good, by the way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the TV didn't make you look any bigger.
Okay. How many saw me on TV? Did I look thoughtful as opposed to how I am now? Did I look thin? Was I at least coherent? Okay, that's all I need to know. I was at Tai Chi class. I don't trying to watch TV. All right, let's get back on the topic here, though. Mr. Howe.
Occasionally using the mail program, I'll send an email and it will show up in my sent folder and also an Outlook folder, the identical email. Just occasionally.
And I'm assuming that you're running either Snow Leopard or Leopard.
Leopard.
Yeah. There's some timing stuff that isn't quite right in mail yet in Snow Leopard, and it has to do with when it sends out that email, you're doing negotiations. And that email server is supposed to send back that, yeah, I got it, sort of like the handoff, you know. Think like Navy. You know, you issue a command, they say aye, aye, they repeat the command so that you know, that they know, that you know. Well, what'll happen is when that comes back to your mail client, it doesn't necessarily tell itself that it got it, so it's still sitting in the outbox.
So it's just a time.
Yeah. Usually what will happen is the next time you launch, it'll do that sync and it'll go, oh, this stuff isn't there. It's cleared up a little bit in line.
I haven't done it yet. I noticed it 10, 12 times a month or whatever.
Okay, anyone else going once, going twice? Okay.
I've got an Apple TV 2 box that for almost a year now it's worked fine, and then after a power interruption last week, network IP address and everything got jumbled, so I reset it, but now it's trying to find network time. It tells me it hasn't set the network time, so I can't do anything on the network, on the internet.
Go ahead.
Do you know that one, or
no?
Okay, there is a setting in there where you can tell it to use an NTP server, Network Time Protocol server. So, and it probably got fussed when the power went, so it's got gobbledygook in there, so it's not going to the right one. But there is
somewhere in the IP address and.
Actually, if I remember correctly, it comes up and gives you a couple choices that you can select from.
I'm using a manually set address. So.
Yeah, you'd have to go back in there, I'd clear it out and then reset it, do the toggle thing, you know, clear it out, tell it not to do it, and then tell it to do it and put in the address.
Is it a drop down where you can select different ones as far as the...
It's been a while since I...
Yeah, I was looking for a time server.
Yeah. I've got the original Apple TV. I don't have the Apple TV 2, but I know enough about the Apple TV 2 to know that there is that setting in there. If you're not running Boxy or... No. Okay. If you're doing that, then there's all sorts of other stuff you got to do.
Okay.
Okay. Who else? Yes.
I think this is related to what the gentleman asked. On my Earthlink, on my email, it gets emailed twice sometimes. And it's the same email, and I have to go check them and dump the one I just dumped one. But do you have any idea why it comes in twice on my Earthlink? So I use Apple Mail.
Okay, is this when you're sending an email?
No, when I'm getting it. I'll
You're
get
getting it. So come in.
And they'll be like a minute or two apart, but they're the same email.
Two open applications or something?
That could be. You could have mail open twice, or it could be something as simple as, are you using the Apple Mail program or are you using a web browser to talk to?
No, it's Apple Mail. Yeah, Apple Mail.
Apple Mail. What you might want to do is go into your preference settings for Apple Mail and see how often it goes to look for new mail.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Toggle it off and then toggle it back.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? They get confused, just like we do sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So it's like, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm going to go to the bed. When I get up in the morning, it'll all be clear and I'll know where my glasses and my car keys are. And it works.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of times just a plain old reboot helps a lot.
There's two other tools that you might want to be aware of when you're using the mail program. Let me just check real quick if this thing is configured. If it isn't, I'll switch accounts. Okay. Not configured here, so let me just switch accounts real quick. Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay. You have in your mail program, up on the menu bar, there's a menu called Windows. Okay. There are 3 things in there that can help you troubleshoot problems. The first one is, let me get mail going here. I got to sit, because I can't stand, talk, and do this too. Okay. And just ignore these messages, please, okay? Heck, here, let me just real quick get it on something that's, do with that. So, I'm in the mail program, there's this window menu. So, one of the things that you want to bring up is Connection Doctor. This is going to tell you whether you're able to connect with the incoming and outgoing email servers.
Sorry, I can't see that there.
No, not a problem. Okay. I mean, hey, rule breakers, right? We're the crazy ones. We can do what we want. So you'll see that I've got 4 things there. Well, it's an ingoing and outgoing server for each of the accounts that I have up there. And they got a green dot. That means that I'm connected and things are going just fine. The other tool that you can use, so we got that up there. I'm going to just move the mail thing over to the side so you can see the tools better. Is a thing called Activity. All right, so here's Activity. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to tell it to go get mail.
45.
And just real quick there, what it was doing, it's showing me that it's going out to the different servers, what it's doing, it's talking to them, it's synchronizing stuff. I'll bring that up, and periodically, if somebody's having trouble with their email, I'll see that one of these processes is just stopped. It's just sitting there, it's not moving at all. Then I'll go into Connection Doctor and say Show Detail, and it'll show me what's going on. And typically, it's something simple such as the password. Okay, you've got an email password. In a rational world, the incoming and outgoing email servers would talk to each other and be looking at the same password. It's not a rational world. The outgoing email server has a password. The incoming has a password. Sometimes it gets muffed in one of them. And then it says, password is wrong. Don't recognize password. So you have to go in and you have to reset the password for the outgoing or maybe the incoming. So this is a way where I can actually see what the problem is. Then last but not least is this thing called Previous Recipients. Okay, now, have you ever had where you're using the Apple Mail program and you start to type in somebody's name and you see an email address come up as a possibility and you go, no, that's old, it's wrong, don't want to use that. So you go, oh, I know what to do. And you go to your address book and you look up that person and you don't find that email address. And you go, wait a minute, where's it getting it? Well, the email program remembers emails that it's received from people and that you've sent to people. Now, in this particular window, Previous Recipients, we've got here's June Bosworth, and we've got 1, 2, 3 different emails for her. Notice I've got a small little square in the front. That means she's in my address book. Okay, so if I want to modify it, I can do it from address book. But then I've got this other person up there, Andy Baker. He doesn't have a little square. That means it's only the email program that's remembering him. So sometimes these old emails are still in our mail client, and the way to get rid of it is to select the person. Let's pretend that for June Bosworth, let's pretend that's a bad email. Click on it and then say remove from list. So now it's going to be not remembered anymore. Or the other thing, you know I'm lazy. You know I want to do it the easy way if I can. Let's say I've got somebody in here and I want to keep them, I want to put them in my address book, but I want to have to type it. Well, if they don't have that little square in front, let me just zoom in a little bit so you can really see what I'm talking about.
Did the computer put that square in front?
Say again?
Did the computer put that square in front or that check mark?
The computer will, once I tell it to, if I select this person and then I tell it to add to address book, let me zoom out again. Yeah, I know, I'm a guy and I love my remote control. So So I clicked this other button over here, add to address book. It just took that person's name and their email address and put it into my address book.
The other way around, just take all your address book and make check marks on any of those.
Correct. So this person is in my address book.
No, you didn't have to go through and do it.
No.
How do you get everything out if you want most of it out of there? Without doing individual.
What I would do is first I'd go into my address book and I would delete them from there.
Yeah.
And then I would go into previous recipients, see what's left, and delete the stuff that's there.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
I fooled with this.
Are you
one
Jim's
time.
wife?
I'm sorry?
Are you did Jim just bring you with?
I'm
or
his
are you?
wife.
Oh, you're the one that, okay.
Yeah, I've been on Apple since 1980.
Okay, I saw the halo, so I figured you
Yeah,
probably
I know.
were the
I just can't see as well, but
Yeah,
it's
not a
like,
problem.
excuse me.
Why don't you just grab a chair and sit?
I will when he starts the program, I'll do that.
Oh, we got one right here.
Jim, I'm gonna keep my eye on these two guys up here.
Yeah, we'll find anything.
Especially George.
Yeah.
How do you prevent old addresses from no longer?
You can't. You can't. It's just part of the process of sending and receiving mail. So periodically you want to purge this stuff out. Oh, you can go to those previous recipients, click on it, and say remove from list. It'll remove it and it won't keep it.
Charlie.
Okay. Wow, running way over here. Let's do George.
Kind of a mail-related question. Okay, I've got 2 or 3 users on my machine, so and they have passwords.
Okay.
And so I sign in. I go to mail. Okay. Then maybe I'll go to Safari and some other things, and then come back to mail. The darn thing will make me type in the same session, but this thing will make me type in my password. And a lot of times I'll use my password 3 or 4 times during, 15 or 20-minute sessions.
Okay, and you're using Apple Mail?
Yeah, in Safari.
And Safari. So you're using Safari to talk to...
Well, no, I'm using Apple Mail.
Using Apple Mail. Okay. What you want to do is enable keychains so that it remembers your passwords. And you also want to, okay, when you first log in to do your email, do you put in your password?
No, I put in password when I log on to the computer.
Okay.
When I log in, but then I don't have to. And then, so then maybe, or suppose I just get distracted and, the thing sits there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then it comes back and it asks me for my password again.
On that one, I'd have to do a little research. My memory would be that there's a setting for email clients where if there is no activity for so many minutes, it will automatically log you out of the email account. That's so if you're, pretend it's a work environment, okay? Pretend you're doing confidential stuff. You get up to go get a cup of coffee, you end up talking to somebody, you get delayed coming back to the machine. This way, nobody can get on the machine and be able to send an email to the president threatening his life, and then, having you be in trouble for doing that. So it'll log you out automatically. Let me do research on that one, because I don't remember exactly where that setting is. Okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna say we're finished with help desk. We're gonna move on to for sale or wanted. Is there anybody looking for equipment? Like used equipment? Okay. Anybody got used equipment that they want to bring in for the freebie table at some point? Or did anybody do that today? Okay. Anybody got stuff they want to sell?
Okay, I just upgraded my MacBook Pro from 4 gig to 8 gig memory, and I have two gig DDR3 chips for $20 total, $10 a piece. Good deal if I need it.
Okay.
That's the most recent generation of MacBook Pros.
Right, and it's Bill Mears, so see him at the break. Anybody else got stuff they're selling this month? Someone someplace? Yes.
Not exactly selling, but my son's iPad app is in beta, if anybody wants to sign up, it's Zombie Apocalypse Mobile, and it's a location-based iOS.
Okay, is this the one that was
In
okay, so he's
Afghanistan.
back now, right? Okay. And he understands what kind of people are in this group, right?
He's my kid.
Okay. So what I would ask you to do, if you're comfortable with it, is send Mark Georges an email with what the link is, and then he can add it to our monthly thing on deals and beta testing. We're becoming a beta testing house for places now.
I don't know, are we? You tell me.
Yeah, I think we are.
It's a game. It's an iPad game, so
Okay.
if you don't want to do it, you may know it's there.
So I'm going to see if I can move this along a little bit farther. Do we have anything else going once, going twice? Have I forgotten anything that we need to do before we do the raffle? Okay. So we're going to do raffle now. You have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, as you talked about Dropbox, will you also maybe compare it to some of the other competing systems that are very similar, so we can, those who don't use Dropbox. There's another one that's very popular right now. In fact, it was just updated this week, I think. Very similar, I think.
And the answer is no. Okay. Okay. This is going to be a loosey-goosey kind of presentation. All right? So what I'm going to do is just roll through about 4 or 5 PowerPoint slides, and I'm going to turn off PowerPoint. Then I'm going to install Dropbox on this, and then we're going to walk through the Dropbox interface. My only goal is to get you exposed to the concept of storing information in lockboxes in the cloud. Because iCloud is coming out next week, and I want you to sort of get used to this idea. The technical term is ubiquitous data. Wherever you go, your data is available, regardless of what device you have with you. Okay? Ubiquitous data. All right, so there is a company. Their name is Dropbox. Dropbox has these little storage lockers on the internet. In other words, it's secure. You know, you got a key. You open it up, and then you have your access to it, and then when you close it off, you don't have access to it. Okay, so what is Dropbox? Transparent. That means it works. You don't have to do much to make it work. It's like glass, a glass window. It's there, it's protecting you from the environment, but it just does its job. For file storage and synchronization, remember when we did Evernote, where I can save a note on my computer, and it synchronizes with the storage place up in the cloud, and then I can get that same information on my iPad or my PC or my Droid or my iPhone, whatever device I've got. That's what synchronization means. And it provides the ability to sync a set of files online, making them available to any machine connected to the internet. Okay. On your machine, you're going to have Dropbox, the application installed. And Dropbox comes in a Mac computer version, a PC Windows version, iPad, iPhone, Droid, and I believe they also have it for the BlackBerry. A lot of devices. But you can also connect to Dropbox if you're not on one of your computers. Let's say you're traveling without electronics because you don't like getting the extra frisking from TSA or the Border Patrol when you come in. Okay, so you're not carrying a computer and such. And you're at the hotel and you go, oh crap, I forgot to have X, Y, and Z file, or I need this information. From a web browser on that hotel lobby PC, you can log into your Dropbox without having any software on the PC. You're just using a web browser and be able to access files, download files, upload files. Okay, so how does it work? One directory on your computer is designated as the Dropbox. All right. What's another word for directory? Folder. Okay. On a Mac, when you install Dropbox, in the sidebar of your Finder windows, Dropbox, there's a folder that shows up in there. Making it real easy to get to it. Files placed in the Dropbox are automatically synchronized to the cloud. Changes propagate to other machines in your Dropbox network from the cloud. Okay, so you're not just logging in, you're also authorizing this computer is allowed to do Dropbox with this account, this computer, this iPad's allowed to. And you can deauthorize machines remotely. Once files are completely synchronized, you get a little green checkbox. That means that it's on your machine and it's also on the storage. And it appears at the top of the file, or let's say this folder. Let's say I had just dragged this folder into my Dropbox folder. It's going to take everything that's in that folder and put a copy up on Dropbox, and then when it's finished, it shows me a little green circle with a check mark saying, hey, you finished, you did it. Okay, cloud. All right. You know, I do training for a local Mac store, and most of the folks I'm training with are what I call woofs, well-off old folks. In a lot of cases, it's their first or only computer. Okay, Mr. Booth, well-off old folks. Okay. Well, I say cloud, they think, you know, like there's an airplane up there flying along and it's got servers in it. No. When they say cloud, they mean the internet. It's a server with large hard drives attached to the internet. So, not satellites, not airplanes, it's on the earth. One of the important things to know about backup services, if you're going to do backup over the internet, services such as Carbonite and Mozy, those sorts of things, you want to know where does your data actually reside when they're storing it. Mozy and Carbonite keep your data in the country of origin. So if you're the continent of your origin. If you're in Canada or the United States, they will store your data on a server that's in Canada or the United States. If you're in Europe, they store it in a server that's in Europe, European Union. Okay. Other backup services, you don't know where your data actually is. It could be sitting in a server in Bangalore or in Mumbai, which might be okay or not okay, depending on what's going on in that country. So there's several Ivory Coast nations that are now starting to do data warehousing. Well, some of them have very, very fragile governments. So you might not want to have your data, especially if it's commercial data, credit cards, Social Security, payroll type data there. Okay, so just something to be aware of. So what does Dropbox use? Dropbox uses Amazon.com web services. So they're a customer of Amazon. And they're doing it on their S3 structure. So just so you know, it's not just sitting in some guy's server in the back of his van, the clapped out van is sitting there being used as a shed. Okay, intelligent synchronization. Okay, when files change, only the delta, the binary difference, gets synced. In other words, when it's going to synchronize the stuff that's in your Dropbox folder on your Mac or your PC or your device, it doesn't put everything back up there again. It looks to see what's new, what's changed. If you've removed the file from your Dropbox folder, it removes it from the cloud folder. If you put a file into Dropbox, it will then send a copy of that up to your folder. So it's only doing the stuff that's changed. Files are compressed as they travel over the wire. So in other words, they're compressing it. If I select more than one file and I ask it to download it to my machine, it will put it in a zip archive. So you're not going to have 4 or 5 files coming one at a time. It's going to send one archive, zip archive with it. If 2 people modify the same file on separate machines, the first submitter wins. Okay, so this sort of brings up one of the benefits of Dropbox. You want to share information with people, so you might have more than one person who's using a Dropbox. Conflict resolution occurs manually, but with no data loss. So basically, you got to be careful. Make sure that when you're using folders to share information, that you typically will have a folder where you've got your backup. Yeah.
Question where it says files are compressed, they travel over the wire. What are you dealing with, like high resolution photo images? Do they automatically compress those, or is it possible?
If you're sending more than one photo at a time, it's going to put it into an archive. It's going to be using PK-zip technology. The latest PK-zip technology is smart enough to know when it's already compressed, and it just puts them in together. It doesn't try and compress them farther.
I think the word you want to hear is lossless compression. Lossless compression?
Yes. So it's not going to screw with the resolution of the photo. Except if you're doing iPad to Dropbox. And there's a setting in there where you can tell it whether you want it to send it full resolution or pare it down. So that's the Dropbox for the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod Touch, because you might be doing stuff over cell and you get charged extra.
Bill?
Yeah.
When 2 people are sharing a file and it's a document and somebody's reading it and makes a change, are you talking about read and privileges, or what are you talking about?
My personal experience with Dropbox has been that it is better to download the file to your local machine, make the change there, and then have it replicate that change, as opposed to directly launching it from the Dropbox directory on the cloud.
To go back to that other chart.
Sure.
It says the first,
if you've got 2 people that are going to put something in the same place in your Dropbox folder, and the files have exactly the same name, whoever started the upload first wins.
Okay, so that's a different issue than the one I...
Yeah.
In addition, if 2 people have started to open and editing, the first one comes back as the main document, the second person gets another document with the same name with a suffix on it that says this is an altered version.
Yeah.
And you end up with 2 files in the system.
Yeah.
Could you say that again, please?
If 2 people are working on a document,
This is Dropbox.
that is stored in Dropbox.
Okay.
The first person to save it back into Dropbox, it just replaces the original.
Okay.
The second person, it knows that things have changed, and it will create a second file with the same name plus a suffix that says edited by. Okay, I've forgotten exactly what it is, but it's recognizing it. And then it's up to you to manually figure out how to incorporate the change again.
The vast majority of individuals are using Dropbox in place of flash drives. Okay. So in other words, instead of putting stuff onto a flash drive that you carry with you, you're saving this stuff out on the cloud, and then you're accessing it like you would a flash drive. So it's one person usually.
Yeah, but your flash drive won't plug into your iPad.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ron.
Is the data encrypted in any way?
Yes. Are my files safe? They're using AES 256. So in other words, I have to be logged in to be able to get to the unencrypted data. Anybody else, they're seeing encrypted data that they're going to have to, have some puzzle palace stuff to crack. Okay. Gotchas. Okay. It comes as a free, I know, I'm cheap, I always show you the free stuff. Free service, or you can upgrade and pay for additional storage. Free service is 2 gigabytes. 2 gigabytes. 2 billion characters of information on the internet.
Photos. Videos.
Okay.
Bill, are you going to mention how you can get
I'll get
free?
there. Okay. Now, remember, it's running on Amazon's S3 services, so if Amazon S3 services is down, you're not going to have access to the stuff that's up there. But if you've got your device with you, you still have the copies that are on your local machine. So this is the other principle I like to have people do. You get your data in more than one place. So if something bad happens one place, you still got your data. And thinking of opened or locked files do not occur until locks are released. That's a Windows. You're doing NTFS Windows stuff. Microsoft Windows operating systems. Okay, that's a Windows issue. But it works okay on Windows. All right, so now I'm just going to hit the escape. What I'm going to do now is pretend this is like a cooking show. I've already downloaded Dropbox. I'm going to install it. And Office wants another update. Okay, not now. So, in my downloads folder, hello, open downloads folder, I have this DMG file that I've downloaded. I double click it. It opens up as a virtual disk. So that thing that's in the upper right-hand corner that says Dropbox Installer, that's the virtual disk, and this big window I'm dragging around is a Finder window showing me the program. And to install Dropbox, I grab the image and I drag it onto my application folder.
Could you go over that again?
No. Okay. Just to say it again. To install it. But this is an important thing to know. I run across people every day and they don't know how to install stuff on the Mac. So it's not a trivial thing. This is a virtual folder. Or excuse me, this is a Finder window representing a virtual folder. Think of that as being like a virtual compact disk that we've put in. So here we got the window open for the compact disk. This is the program Dropbox. This is an alias of our applications folder. So when we drag that on top of that, we're saying put a copy of Dropbox in my applications folder. That's where your programs are supposed to live.
What if you'd rather put it in utilities?
It's still going to work. It's still going to work. You still want to have it somewhere within applications. Utilities is a folder inside applications. The reason why is this. If you have it in your home folder and someone else is logged in, they won't have access to that application. And sometimes you want it that way.
You also get a little more protection.
Could you have multiple Dropboxes by installing it in different places? Instead of just having 2 gigs, have Dropbox 1, Dropbox 2, Dropbox 3.
They're going to be associated with an email account.
So if you had a different email, you could have a second.
Right. Or let me get this launched and we'll get in there and we'll walk through the stuff real quick. Okay, deep breath. So, standard window that you get the first time you've launched something that you've downloaded from the internet. This is your Mac being mom saying, do you know where this came from? Do you know what you're doing? In this case, we're going to say, yeah, open it. And I'm going to close my applications window, I'm going to close my downloads window, and I'm going to just hide the other one. All right, so this is what you're going to see when you first bring it up. If you say, I don't have a Dropbox account, it will walk you through setting up an account with them. If you have a Dropbox account, you click there, and then you go ahead and log in. In this case, I'm going to select, I already have a Dropbox account.
So we don't get to see.
Okay, so it wants to know two things, my email and the password that I set up for Dropbox.
Somebody wanted to see how it works. I heard them saying one day they want to see how it works if it wasn't installed.
If it wasn't installed? Okay, I can back up.
Yeah,
I heard someone mumbling over there.
Okay, so let's do it the other way. I don't have a Dropbox account. I'll click continue. It wants to know first name, William, last name, email. Okay, I got to pick an email that I'm not using with a Dropbox account. Okay, let's try this one. And then the password that I want to use for Dropbox.
Is that the sole amount of info it wants set up an account?
Yeah. And then what the computer name is. And then you click, okay, what's the #1 lie this century?
I have read.
It used to be the check is in the mail, now it's I have read and agreed to the terms of service.
Either that or you don't get it.
So, and it wants to know what's the computer name. It's looking at what I had called this. You could put in a different name if you wanted to at that point, if you don't have your computer appropriately described. But that's all the information it needs at that point.
Wasn't me, what are you looking at me for?
No.
Did you mean to have two
Hey,
J's?
be nice to him. He's done presentations for the group. Never mind.
You really have two J's in your middle name up there, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just thought I'd check.
It has to do with the fact that King James was very, very, very good to the Herrick family.
Oh, okay.
And so I can tell if somebody's a relative because they'll have James somewhere in their name. I was walking through Arlington and I saw this headstone, Curtis James Herrick. And I went, oh, it's a relative. All right, in this case, I'm going to just continue onward, and I'm going to use the TMG date. No, I'm going to use TMG. Yeah.
Web.
Web?
TMG Web.
Okay. At me.com?
Yeah.
Okay, now I got to think for a
I had to
second.
check it
Don't
out
say it
for
to me.
you.
Don't, no, I got it. Okay, so now we're going to say continue. And I'm getting a small little thing at the bottom that says waiting for server. Okay, upgrade your... Now this is where you can choose if you want to have a paid service. If you want 50 gigabytes of online storage, it's $9.99 a month. If you want 100 gigabytes, it's $19.99 a month. There are other services out there, Rackspace is one that comes to mind where it's cheaper. So we're just going to go with the free one, and we're going to say continue, and then it wants to know, choose your Dropbox location, which folders? No, just typical. It's going to show it up where we want it, say install, then it says, okay, your Dropbox is a special folder on your computer, and it's going to put it in the sidebar of all my Finder windows, so I can get right to it.
But it's in your user folder.
It's in your home folder inside users. So that means when you're not logged in, it's in that area that's protected from other people getting into it. Then we click continue. And this is where it starts to walk you through a nice little tour of what it can do. So it says if you need to access files from somebody else's computer, simply log into www.dropbox.com. Okay, so you're using a web browser to talk to it, and then you click on the login and you put in your Dropbox account, and you can, through a web browser, get to your stuff. Or if they have Dropbox installed, you can add that machine to the one that's allowed to access your Dropbox account. All right, click continue. I'm going to sit again. Okay, now, I really like these people. They are not subtle. Okay, it's going to add this little guy up on your menu bar that's going to represent Dropbox. So I don't like subtle. Subtle, you know, I miss stuff when stuff is subtle. So they give you that big green arrow to point to where it's going to put it. Okay, think about subtle. If you're in your dashboard and you're going to configure one of those little widgets, the little single-purpose applications in dashboard, how many of you know that you should put your pointer on top of the widget and look for a very small letter I to appear and click on it so it'll flip over so you can configure it? Most people don't know that because it's too subtle. All right, so here it says that one of the things I can do is I can share folders within Dropbox with other people. Now, that means that they get access to just that folder. So one of the things we're thinking about doing, since Mobile Me is going to go away, and we're going to lose that, the club is going to lose its online storage that we have on Mobile Me, is setting up folders we can share so that the treasurer has a folder that she can access, and the membership vice president has the folder he can access. So if they want to put stuff up, give us information, they don't have to email it, they can just So we're going to say continue here. So now it tells me that Dropbox is finished installing and you're all set up and ready to go. Thanks for using Dropbox. We hope you enjoy it. And they've already checked the Open My Dropbox folder now. So I click Finish. Now it wants me to type my password to allow Dropbox to make changes. This is not my Dropbox password. This is my, what I call the super secret password for your user account on the computer.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Don't hurt yourself, Tim.
Okay, now, I just opened the Finder window. In the sidebar, Dropbox is selected. It's showing me the folders that are in Dropbox. These are folders that started out up on the internet in the TMG Web Dropbox account, and it's synchronizing. And so we're seeing that these folders are already synchronized, that thing's already synchronized, and we've got two things that it's still doing. Now, on my menu bar, I've got this little widget up there. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Let me move over just a little bit. When I put my pointer on top of it, it's telling me what version of Dropbox, the program I'm running, and it's telling me that it's downloading 34 files, and it tells me how much of a transfer rate I'm getting and how long it's going to take for it to finish downloading those files.
I noticed you said it shows up on the left side over there with documents and apps and so forth.
Yeah.
But can you go up there to that blue thing on top and just click it to open it?
Oh, if I come up here and I hold my mouse down on that menu bar, I can open my Dropbox folder, which is what we're looking at in the Finder. Or, notice I can also launch the Dropbox website. Let's do it both ways. So then it's going to launch a web browser and take me to the Dropbox website. Now remember, we're on sort of not real big pipes here in terms of internet access. So it's going to take it a while.
I have a question.
Sure.
Dropbox is downloading files from your computer here up to the server space. What if you say, rather than, not the other way around?
No, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
We already had the TMG web account set up I already put files up on the cloud. I just installed Dropbox on this computer, so what it's doing is taking the files that are up there and duplicating them into the Dropbox folder on this computer.
Now, can you make those files so that you can get into maybe all of them, and the treasurer just can get into the treasurer one, so to speak, or the secretary and the secretary one? Or are they all available to everyone?
Well, what you would do is you would create a folder in the Dropbox account in the cloud, okay? And then you would share it with just that person.
Okay.
So they're able to just see the contents of that folder. But the owner of the Dropbox account can see all of the folders.
Now, if you share that with a person that does not have a Dropbox account, how do they see it?
They would have to, they gotta have Dropbox installed to be doing sharing.
So they have to have a Dropbox
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
What's the public folder?
The public folder is something where you can put files in, and anybody who's got access to a share can see what's in there.
Okay, now, you have to send them an email link.
Yeah, I'm about to
document in the public folder.
Yeah. So you still have what's called granularity of control.
One of the big problems is the Dropbox name compared to the Dropbox as part of OSX.
Oh, yeah, there's two Dropbox.
Okay.
You don't know about Dropbox?
Okay. Are you talking about the naming problems if you're on Windows?
No.
No.
Okay. You're talking
In
about...
OSX,
Yeah.
in your account, is a folder called Dropbox.
Yes.
It's not this Dropbox.
No, it's not that Dropbox.
That's the problem.
Yeah. That's why when I'm using Dropbox, I do one Dropbox account via Dropbox, the application, in one user folder, as opposed to two different Dropbox accounts in one user account. If I need to do that, I just have it where it's a share. Yes, Ron?
I have a Dropbox set up on my computer. I put something in there. My wife wants to go and retrieve something from my Dropbox.
Okay.
How does she do that?
Is she on her own computer?
She's on her computer.
She's on her computer. The easiest way for her to do it would be for her to, without installing anything on the PC, whatever device it is for her to launch her web browser. Okay, so this is in a web browser window, and I'm already logged in. I'm going to log out and then manually log in. You know how when you do AOL, you're logging into AOL, you're logging into Yahoo via a web browser? Okay. And to get to your email and your other stuff, your contacts, you have to log in. All right, so here's, if you will, the foyer, the home, the starting point on a Dropbox website. And they ask if you want to download Dropbox and stuff. And up there, this is where they are subtle. There's a little thing that says login. So if I click there, it's going to ask me to put in the email for the account that I want to log into and the password for it. Now, this machine is currently linked through Dropbox, the application, to tmgweb@me.com. I'm going to put in one of my email addresses that's associated with a different Dropbox account. And I just got to remember passwords. I hope I got it right. Oops. Okay. Try this one. Okay, we're going to try this one.
You don't use one password, Bill?
No.
Forget password, there's a question. freshman in high school.
I think the answer to my question is I'd have to give her the email address that Dropbox is attached to and the password, and she could log in.
Yeah, because she essentially you.
Yeah. Try one more.
I do that for my wife.
You installed it on my computer so that we both have Dropbox and we could.
She doesn't want to.
You did that for me.
Oh, come on. Your Dropbox is for you. My Dropbox is for me. We share a folder between the two Dropboxes. And you share the RESC folders that are connected to you.
Is that what
Not
you're
necessarily,
talking
you
about
can
your
create your
flight?
own folder.
Getting your flight.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you tell them what you did for me.
Okay.
You wanna use mine?
Okay, I'm just gonna log into the other one, because I can't remember my password for the other.
Bill, you wanna put mine in?
Huh?
You wanna use mine?
Your personal one?
Yeah.
I'd rather you put it in.
Well, go ahead, georgesm@earthlink.net.
Say again?
georgesm@earthlink.net.
George's M.
First one.
Oh, you're close. Not yet.
EARTH. Okay, now. Wow, he's making sure you don't know what he's doing. Hey, you doing that on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we seeing here?
See, I shared.
Okay. So, this folder. Okay, you logged me in. It finally, okay, what we had is an issue of latency.
Good Lord.
It just took it a while, but I actually did remember. Okay, cool.
It took him a while to come up.
Cool.
Okay. So maybe yours will pop up.
Yeah, mine'll come up in an hour.
All right. So, I can tell what email and what account I'm logged in because it's telling me roman@aol.com. These are the folders that are in that Dropbox account. They are not on this local computer. They are on 3 other computers at my house. And they're also on the iPad that I've got in my case over there. These are folders. Now, if you're using the web interface, it's a little kludgy. It's sort of like doing CyberDoc, you know, FTP, SFTP. So it's a little kludgy, but let's say we want to look at what's in the installers folder. Okay, I double click it, and then it's going to show me that I'm in Dropbox in the folder called installers, and these are the things that are in here. Yes?
You talked earlier, you could use it in lieu of a flash drive and so forth. So if you're on somebody's computer, or it's your own computer, you got a file, and you don't want to put it on a flash drive, how do you move it into your Dropbox? If it's a file sitting on your desktop or something. You know, generally you got to get...
Right over here, there's a button that says upload. So I click on upload. Then it says, where is the file you want to upload to Dropbox? You're saying the file is on the local computer and you want to put it into Dropbox up on the web.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like uploading a picture to Shutterfly or Picasa or...
Well, where it says choose file to upload, does it ask you where it's at?
Yeah, I click the button that says choose files. It gives me a navigation dialog box. I go in, I look, let's see. Let's see, what's that one? Let's see, that's the library and the... let's say I want to upload this thing. Or better, this one. And I'll say upload. Then I click start upload.
Oh, okay.
And up here, it's going to give me a little thing that's telling me, you know, how it's doing. Uploading files, 0% so far. Time left, so These are the details of the file that it's uploading. I should pick something small.
It just takes a while.
Yeah, takes a while, especially if you're on a wireless.
Yeah,
and
my neighbor here is doing the Fourier transform through this pipeline, and she's using up all the bandwidth.
I just assumed if Janet's in the room that she's doing Skype, and sucking all the bandwidth. So it finished, and then it told me uploaded one file, 100%, took 25 seconds, and now that file is in that folder. To go back, now again, this is the web interface. To go back, I would click where it says parent folder. So this is what you use to interact with it if you don't hit Dropbox installed, you're just doing stuff in a web browser. Okay, now I'm going to log out here. So what would you be doing if you have Dropbox installed and you want to add a file to what's up on the cloud? You'd open a Finder window, okay, click on Dropbox. So this is all local stuff to your machine, and then just drag the file in there or create a folder, and then it's going to do it.
Drag it in. You don't even have to go through that other process, just drag it off.
Correct. You're only doing that other process, that other interface, if you're on somebody else's computer. You don't want to have to install anything. So if I'm visiting somebody's house, I'm working on their PC, I need the Glary utilities. Oh, I'm going to launch Internet Explorer, log into my Dropbox, get the Glary utilities, install it on their machine.
If that person had Dropbox installed on their computer, could you use the application and log in using
Yes. What I would do then is, I would go into the preferences for the Dropbox application, and when we click on account, I would tell it to unlink this computer. Actually, you know, really, if they've got it installed, usually I don't screw with their Dropbox setup. What I'll do is I'll just log in with the web browser and bring it in, because I'm usually not bringing in big stuff.
But you could.
I could, yeah.
So back to my question, my wife, if I install Dropbox on her machine and set it up with the ID and password that I have, just launch it and be in it.
Yeah. Now, I want to add one other confounding factor, and that is this folder here is part of the TMG Web email address Dropbox. That folder is also being shared. So if I put something in that share TMG Web Herrick folder, it will appear in my Dropbox under my account, because that folder is shared between his Dropbox and my Dropbox. And if I put something into that folder, it shows up in his Dropbox. It's in two places. Yeah.
Did you mention that you can add to the 2 gig if you...
You never got there.
So when you invite somebody else to download Dropbox and load it, you get 250 meg additional?
Let me get back on the Dropbox website and walk through that real quick.
Install it. Right. So you can invite 4 more people.
Okay, it goes like this. The first thing they tell you is, if you do 5 of 7 things, they'll give you another 250 megabytes of storage. Just grab it. And it's their way of making you walk through their tour and learn the capabilities of Dropbox, which I think is really nice. They're rewarding you if you train yourself. But the other thing is, if I invite other people to use Dropbox, okay, and they do set up a Dropbox account, then I get 250 megabytes of additional storage, up to a grand total of 8 gigabytes.
240.
So one of the things that we thought about doing, and I don't know, we haven't reached a decision, is maybe asking the members sending out invites to the members so that the club Dropbox will be larger than it is now. We haven't decided yet, did we?
What's the significant difference between like Carbonite and Dropbox?
Carbonite's doing a backup process, so it's backing up all of the folders. Dropbox is, you're pointing at just this stuff that's in this folder is being replicated on
Does
there.
Carbonite allow you to have shared folders?
Carbonite's not going to let you have shared folders. Carbonite's
All
for
it is
disaster recovery.
You've got a shared folder, that is a separate file on your machine. If I have something in documents and drag it into the shared folder, I now have 2 copies on my drive.
Yeah.
Plus
No. Moves it from your documents folder to your Dropbox folder.
I'm sorry,
If
if
you
I,
want to create a second copy, you've got to open it and save it again, or do this extra clicks that say copy this document, paste it over.
okay, option drag or something
Yeah.
like that.
Option drag,
One of
if
the
you want to
things that
keep
bit me early on, is when I drag something over there thinking it's a duplicate, but it's another folder on your same drive.
Okay.
Okay. You had your hand up.
You made everybody kind of made a joke at the beginning about reading the license and usage and all that kind of stuff. Has anybody ever read it? I mean, seriously, I mean, 99, and I understand 99% of the time
You're bringing up a very good point, and it's especially important if it's a free service.
Because with all the identity theft and everything that's going on, I'm sorry, you think it's secure because you have to have a password to get into
Well,
it.
not just that, but there's another thing going on. If you're not paying for the service, you do not have a contract with them.
Right.
No money has exchanged hands.
Right, well, my thing is I can go home, and if I'm savvy enough, I can set up Dropbox 2 and offer free service, and everybody stays it at my house, on my computer, on my service. Do the people running this have
Actually, it won't,
access to
because
that?
one of the things it's going to do is it's going to notice that you've got the same machine involved with several different.
No, I'm just saying, I'm gonna start up my own Dropbox service, and I don't know what to call it. I say Dropbox 2. I'm gonna call it Dropbox 2 or Oxdrop, whatever. You know, pick me, put the stuff in there.
Who are these people?
The people running this thing in the licensing agreement, can I call them up on the phone and say, man, I really screwed up.
They're
What can I
publicly
do?
traded. Which
Well,
gives you-
but even still, I mean, you think you're the only one that has access to your box. I'm only giving you 2 gigs of space. I mean, my goodness, terabyte hard drive will take
total for everybody that's trying to bring it.
These are not like.
See, all I want is your information. See, I can do that, and I get 500 people to come into my stuff, and I gotta, what does it cost you for a 3 terabyte hard drive? That'll save a lot of stuff.
What I'm going to say is this.
You gotta touch these people.
Mike, very good points that you brought up. But we brought up.
You're on your own.
Still, very good.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.